This is a compilation of all the videos that I've made on essay writing. This is to make it easy for you to find all the lessons in one video rather than having to look for the individual lessons. Because it is a compilation all in one, it is quite a long one. It includes all the things in green: candidate response, examiner comments, templates, etc. It is good if you can take notes or at least take screenshots. Enjoy. If you're writing an essay for the first time, or if you are struggling with essay writing, you have come to the right place. The essay is something that is in the new syllabus, so you may not have heard of it before, you may not know how to do it, but I will go through everything with you in this video. Welcome to English Step by Step. I make videos for English first and second language. My name is Miss Wee. Today we're going to talk about the essay. First, I want to explain what an essay is. So it's a piece of writing with the purpose of presenting a point of view and providing reasons to support it. The audience is usually your teacher, according to the question in the ESL papers. The register is either formal, semi-formal, or neutral. So here's an example question. What are the effects of playing computer games on young people? Here we have a question. In class, you have had a discussion about whether teenagers should eat fast food. Your teacher has asked you to write an essay about it. In your essay, give your opinion about whether teenagers should eat fast food. Here are some comments from your classmates. Fast food tastes great. So that's a positive point about fast food. It's cheaper to cook food at home. That's a negative point about eating fast food. It's not good for you. Another negative point. Eating fast food saves time. So that's a positive point. Now write an essay for your teacher. So your audience is here. The comments above may give you some ideas, and you should also use some ideas of your own. So the question is always the same, and make sure that you do use your own ideas, whether it is a report, review, article, or essay. And try to write within 120 to 160 words. You can go a little bit over, but not too much. There are 6 marks for content and 9 for language. So there are more marks for language, and we will look at that later. First, we'll look at content. So your content is about whether teenagers should eat fast food. Like I said just now, there are 2 positive points about eating fast food, and there are 2 negative points. And I've put the plus and minuses, just in case you have forgotten which ones are which. I'm only going to use these 2 points and not all 4 because this is a video for beginners. So I'm going to use this one which says it's not good for you, and this one that says it saves time. And then, of course, I'm going to give my own points because it says you should use some ideas of your own. So another plus point is that fast food restaurants are good places for teenagers to hang out with friends. And my own point on the negative side is that fast food often comes with excessive packaging. I'm going to develop those points because you get marks for development. So for this one, I'm going to say that this is an important social activity for teenagers. And for this point, I'm going to say that this creates waste and pollution, so it's not good for the environment. The next thing I'm going to do is to reword the points that I'm going to use from the prompt so that I don't copy. It's not good for you. I'm going to say that it is unhealthy, and eating fast food saves time. I'm going to say that it is quick and easy. I'm also going to develop the points in the prompt. It is unhealthy because it is high in unhealthy fats, sugar, and salt, which can lead to health issues. It is quick and easy, so it's good for teenagers who are usually very busy. This is the template that I've provided in my video that has templates for all the 4 formal types of writing: report, review, article, and essay. If you would like to access that video, please click on the link up here. So essay is the only one without heading. We start with introductory paragraph. So we can say nowadays, we can make a general statement about the issue. So here we would talk about fast food. And there are advantages and disadvantages to eating fast food. On the one hand, so eating fast food can be advantageous. So try and have different expressions though. Don't keep saying eating fast food. I will show you later. And firstly, you have point and development, the points and development, which we already planned earlier on. And the same for the second point. We're not going to do the third one because this is a video for beginners. So we're going to stop at 2. On the other hand, now we're going to talk about the negative points. So eating fast food can also cause problems. To begin with, we have the point and development that we wrote down earlier on. And furthermore, the other point and development. We're not going to do the third one. We're going to stop at 2. If you want to do 3, that's fine. In conclusion, I believe that, so you have to pick one side and explain why you are on this side. With the right, potential issues can be managed effectively. This sentence can be changed. You may have to adapt it according to the essay topic, which I have done for this one. And I will show you in a moment. Here is the essay. Nowadays, many teenagers consume fast food regularly. There are advantages and disadvantages to eating at fast food restaurants. On the one hand, fast food offers several advantages. Firstly, it is quick and convenient, making it ideal for teenagers with busy schedules. Secondly, fast food restaurants allow teenagers to spend time with friends in a relaxed environment. This social interaction is essential for building relationships. On the other hand, excessive consumption of fast food can also cause problems. To begin with, fast food is often unhealthy as it is high in unhealthy fats, sugar, and salt, which can contribute to obesity, heart disease, and other health issues. Furthermore, fast food packaging generates large amounts of waste, leading to environmental pollution. In conclusion, I believe that teenagers should limit their intake of fast food. By adopting a healthier diet and making more sustainable food choices, they can improve their well-being and contribute to a greener future. So you can see that I don't have any heading. I have introductory and concluding paragraph. In my concluding paragraph, I take one side and explain why. I have a paragraph for positive points and a paragraph for negative points. The parts that I've underlined are the parts that were blank in the template. So all you have to do is to just fill in the blanks. This is what it looks like without the underlined parts. And this is what your essay should look like. I'm going to break it down a little bit for you to talk about how to get language marks. This is enough to get full content marks, but we also want to get very high language marks if possible. So in order to get high language marks, we need to have accurate grammar, spelling, punctuation. Here I have used present tense because this issue is still relevant, it's still existing. I need to use some less common vocabulary, like the ones I have colored in purple. I also need to use advanced sentence structures. So these are the things that the examiner will be looking for if you want high language marks. I've added this slide because one of my viewers asked me if it is indeed true that an essay does not require a heading. Here we have an example candidate response and examiner comments. And one of the examiner comments is that no heading is required for an essay. I suggest that you look for this video where I do a quick comparison between the 4 types of writing. I've talked about the purpose, audience, register. I give an example question. I also break them down according to paragraphs and give similarities and the main difference. And you can see that the main difference for an essay compared to all the other 4 is the fact that there is no heading. Do go and watch this video for the full explanation of everything. You will get a lot of clarity out of this video. From this year onwards, the syllabus has changed and students are required to learn to write an essay. And if you would like to learn to write an essay, you have come to the right place. Welcome to English Step by Step. My name is Miss Wee. and today I will be teaching you how to write an essay. So an essay has 4 parts. First, we have the introduction, in which we should provide some background information on the issue being discussed. And then in the first body paragraph, we want to present one side of the argument. In the second body paragraph, we will present the other side of the argument. And finally, in the conclusion, we should state which side we are on and why. So here are the steps as usual. First, we read the question and highlight the keywords. Then we plan the answer. So we will provide arguments for both sides of the argument, and we will also develop our points. And then we will write the essay. Now for an essay, there will be no heading or title. And lastly, we will check our writing. Here is a sample question. In class, you have discussed whether students should be allowed to bring mobile phones to school. Your teacher has asked you to write an essay about it. I have highlighted this in red because it is important. In your essay, give your opinion whether teenagers should be allowed to bring mobile phones to school. Now here are some comments from your classmates. I need to call my parents to let them know what time to pick me up. It's so annoying when someone's phone rings in class. I need it to do research. I can't afford a phone and it's embarrassing because everyone has one. So there are 2 points in favor of allowing students to bring mobile phones to school, and there are 2 points against. Now write an essay for your teacher. So we have read the question. I've also highlighted the keywords. Now we shall plan our answer. And here I have taken 2 points from the prompt and another 2 points from the prompt. The third point is mine, and I've developed all the points. So here we have arguments in favor of allowing mobile phones in school. Students need to call their parents to let them know what time to pick them up. Development, they may have to stay back in school for activities or group projects. Students can use their phones to do research. There are many useful apps on phones these days that can aid students in their studies. And this is my own point. It is safer to have a phone around in case of emergencies. Development, students can call emergency services immediately. Then we have arguments against allowing mobile phones in school. It is annoying when someone's phone rings in class. Development, it distracts the entire class and the teacher. Some students can't afford a phone and it's embarrassing for them because everyone has one. So it's not fair to the poorer students. My own point, it can get stolen. Mobile phones are so expensive. So we have done step 1 and step 2. Now we will write the essay without a heading. So you can see that I have 4 paragraphs. Nowadays, most schools do not allow mobile phones on campus. There are advantages and disadvantages to allowing students to bring their phones to school. So I have a very quick introduction. Moving on to the body paragraph. On the one hand, having a phone can be advantageous. Firstly, students would be able to contact their parents should there be any alteration in pickup time due to extra activities. Secondly, phones are valuable resources for students to conduct research. Most importantly, it is safer for them to be able to call emergency services directly in the event of a crisis. So I have 3 points here, 2 from the prompt and 1 of my own. Now moving on to the other side. On the other hand, phones can cause problems as they can be very distracting, especially if they start ringing in class. Moreover, phones are expensive and susceptible to theft. Furthermore, it may be more equitable to prohibit mobile phones in school since not all students can afford them. In conclusion, I believe that students should be allowed to bring mobile phones to school. Technology plays a major role in our future and its use should be encouraged. With the right rules, potential issues can be managed effectively. So I've done step 1, 2, and 3. We're going to check the writing. For more than these things, we're also going to check if we have fulfilled the examiner's requirements. So now let's look at the structure. I have introduction. I have arguments for one side of the argument and then arguments for the other side of the argument. Finally, I have a conclusion in which I state my opinion. So I have 3 points, 2 from the prompt, and I have also my own points. I have developed the points from the prompt. I have used linking words like these in purple. I have also used less common vocabulary, like the ones that are underlined. So reminders, make sure that you answer the question. Remember to develop the points that you use from the prompt, and remember to add your own points. For an essay, you do not need a heading, but you have to use a formal register, so no contractions or idioms. And remember to check your work. Before we end, I just want to talk about the differences between an article and an essay because they are very similar. The purpose of an article is to inform and persuade, whereas for an essay, it is to explore a specific idea or argument. The register for an article is informal or semi-formal, but for an essay, it is formal. The audience is usually your schoolmates, and for an essay, the audience is usually your teacher. The structure of an article, the main difference between article and essay is that an article has a heading, whereas an essay does not. Today, I'm going to make it easy for you by giving you some free templates that will help you ace your exams with confidence. Now, these templates are designed to make your writing clear, structured, and easy to follow, which is exactly what examiners are looking for. So whether you're preparing for the ESL paper or doing an assignment, these templates will make it simple, fast, and most importantly, stress-free. So do watch this video till the end because I'm going to walk you through each template and show you exactly how to use them to nail your exam. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. So welcome back to my channel, English Step by Step. I am Miss Wee, and we are going to start with a report. So this is the template for a report. Up here, for the heading, we have report, colon, and look at what the topic is from the prompt and just insert it here. Then we have subheadings, introduction, positive points, negative points, and suggestions. Please underline them. And we will start this way. This report evaluates, so whatever it is you are evaluating, and then give some details, attended by, so the who, the when, and the where, highlighting both positive and negative aspects and suggestions for improvement. So try to fill in as many of the blanks as possible. If they are not relevant, then just ignore them. Now, positive points, we have 3 here. Firstly, put in your point and development. Secondly, point and development. Finally, point and development. Do note that it's not necessary to have 3. You can stop at 2 if you want. Same thing for negative points. So we start with however, point and development, furthermore, point and development, besides, point and development. Again, you can stop at 2 if you want. Then we have suggestions to improve future, whatever it is. There should be point and development, moreover, point and development, in addition, point and development. Again, you can stop at 2. Now let's try and apply it to an exam question. I have made a video on how to write a report in detail. If you would like to watch that video now, you can click on this link up here. I'm also going to put a link in the description box below. So if you want to watch it later, you can click on that link. Now, this question is about a one-day sports festival. So here I have report, sports festival. Introduction, this report evaluates the one-day sports festival attended by our class 11A on August 12, 2024 at the National Stadium, highlighting both positive aspects and areas for improvement. So it's very simple, just fill in the blanks. So for positive points, I'm going to take 2 from the prompt. Here we have, it was a chance to meet students from other schools and I learned a lot about fitness. So I'm going to start with this one. Firstly, the event provided valuable insights into how fitness can enhance academic performance. This is my development. This is my own point. Secondly, it motivated some of us to take up badminton regularly. And this is this point here. Finally, it allowed us to connect with students from other schools. My development is that the students are from national and international schools. Moving on to negative points, you will see from the prompt that there weren't many new sports to try, and we spent too much time listening to instructions. So, however, the variety of sports was limited, and my development is football, badminton, basketball, and volleyball, which left many students wanting more diversity. Furthermore, the instructor's speeches were lengthy and uninspiring. Then my own point, besides, the one-day duration was insufficient as it did not allow us to fully explore the available activities. Lastly, we have suggestions. To improve future festivals, there should be a broader range of sports, such as rock climbing, archery, and fencing. Moreover, talks by instructors should be made shorter and more engaging. In addition, an extended duration would also greatly enhance the overall experience. So I have 3 suggestions here. Now I have a couple of exam questions here for you to try to put into the template. If you have any problems, leave a comment in the comment section below and I will try to help you out. Now we're going to move on to review writing. So this is the template for review writing. In the heading, we have a review of, and then look at what you're reviewing from the prompt. Underline this heading. So give the name of what you're reviewing and as many of these details as possible. So where, when, who, etc. has become very popular. Last weekend, I visited, I read, I watched this, whatever it was, and was impressed. So let's start with the positive points. Firstly, we have point and development. Secondly, same, and finally. So again, you can stop at 2 if you want. And now moving on to the negative points. However, point and development, furthermore, same, and besides. And this is the conclusion. Despite the minor drawbacks, there should be an S here, sorry about that. Whatever it is a grade 4, and it's, so here we want to summarize the positive points. So put a positive point here and another one here. Makes it ideal. I highly recommend it. Again, I have made a video on review writing in detail. If you would like to watch that video now, you can click on this link here, or you can click on the link in the description box. So here we are reviewing a new shopping center. I've given the new shopping center a name. So in the heading, we have a review of the new Empire Shopping Center. And then I've just filled in the blanks. Empire Shopping Center, the new mall that opened in Kuala Lumpur. So I have the location and the time it was opened. Has quickly become very popular. Last weekend, I visited this mall and was impressed. So firstly, secondly, and thirdly, I've put in the point and development, point and development, point and development. 2 of the points are from the prompt and 1 of them is my own point. And the same for the negative points. We have, however, furthermore, besides. Here, my developments are actually counter arguments. So for example, some shoppers find the goods here more expensive than in others, although I personally found the eateries very reasonable. So that's a counter argument. Do watch the video on review writing if you don't understand what I'm saying. And if you have difficulty with counter argument, you can just also provide a simple development. And then we have the conclusion. Despite these minor drawbacks, Empire Shopping Center is a great destination for socializing. Its lively atmosphere combined with a cinema and cafe makes it ideal. So it's a summary of the positive points and a general statement as well. I highly recommend it. Again, I've given you 2 exam questions to try. See if you can fill in the blanks in the template. If not, just leave a comment in the comment section below and I will try to help you with it. Now we have article writing. And here is the template for article writing. So we have a title. So you get the title from the prompt and underline the title. It would be nice to start with a rhetorical question, and then there are many reasons why, and then look at what the topic is about. So we'll start with one side of the argument. On the one hand, can be advantages. So firstly, secondly, thirdly, give the points and development. And then on the other side of the argument, on the other hand, whatever it is can cause problems. So to begin with, furthermore, some people say that, besides, so here we want point and counter argument. Again, if you don't understand what counter argument is, please go watch the video on article writing. Or you can also just give point and development. All in all, this is your conclusion. So pick one side and explain why you are on this side and make sure that you are persuasive. So here we have an example exam question on article writing. If you would like to watch that video now, you can click on this link here or click on the link in the description box below. So this particular question is about whether towns and cities should have more parks and green spaces. So I started with the heading, which is parks and green spaces. And in my introduction, I have written a rhetorical question. Can you imagine not seeing a tree for days on end? There are many reasons why towns and cities should have more parks and green spaces. So I'm just filling in the blanks. So on the one hand, parks are so important to us. So you can see that I have adjusted the template a little bit. So you have to be flexible if the question does not fit nicely into your template. So I have firstly, secondly, thirdly, points and development. Again, 2 are from the prompt and 1 is my own. And the same for the other side of the argument. On the other hand, having too many parks can also cause problems. All in all, green spaces are essential for cities. We need more parks and gardens to improve quality of life. So I've chosen one side and I have explained why. Here again, I've given you 2 exam questions to try out. See if you can fit these information into the template. Lastly, we have essay, which is new in the syllabus. And here we have the template for it. So no heading. Introduction, we start with nowadays and make a general statement about the issue. There are advantages and disadvantages to, and get this part from the prompt. So again, we start with one side of the argument. On the one hand, whatever it is can be advantages. And then we have firstly, secondly, finally, or thirdly, and we have points and development. On the other hand, whatever it is can also cause problems. To begin with, furthermore, besides, and we have our points and developments. So in conclusion, I believe that So pick one side and explain why you are on this side. And you can end with the right rules, with the right management, with the right whatever. Potential issues can be managed effectively. So here is an example. Now this is an example that I made up. If you would like to watch the video now, you can click on the link up here or click on the link in the description box below. So this essay is about whether students should be allowed to bring mobile phones to school. So I've started with nowadays, most schools do not allow mobile phones on campus. There are advantages and disadvantages to allowing students to bring their phones to school. On the one hand, having a phone can be advantageous, and then I have firstly, secondly, finally with the points and development. On the other hand, phones can also cause problems. To begin with, moreover, furthermore, and I have all my points and development in here. In conclusion, I believe that students should be allowed to bring mobile phones to school. Technology plays a major role in our future and its use should be encouraged. With the right rules, potential issues can be managed effectively. So I picked a side and explained why in a persuasive manner. Here I've given you 2 questions to try. So again, if you have problems, do let me know. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to share it with your friends, hit the like button and subscribe for more tips. Welcome to English Step by Step. I am Miss Wee. I have made a video to give you the templates of the 4 formats. If you haven't watched that video, you can click up here to get to it. I will also include the link in the description box below so that you can watch the video after this one if you prefer. Today I'm going to talk about the differences between the 4 formats. I'm going to give you a bird's eye view. So starting with purpose, the purpose of a report is to present findings and suggest improvements. The purpose of a review is to give an opinion on something in order to help others make a decision. The purpose of an article is to inform a general audience on a particular topic. And the purpose of an essay is to argue a point of view in an academic way. Now let's look at the audience. The audience for a report for this particular exam is usually a school principal, a teacher, or an organization. And the audience for a review for the 0510 or 0511 paper is usually your peers, such as students or the general public. And for an article, the audience is usually your peers again, or your school community. And the audience for an essay is usually a teacher. The register means how formal it is. A report is very formal and impersonal. Reviews and articles are semi-formal to informal. And an essay is formal and academic. So here I've included some example questions. Write a report to your principal about the success of an event and suggest improvements for future events. So this is for a report. Now for a review, write a review of a school trip or a film you recently watched. Article, write an article for a school newsletter about whether students should learn a second language. An essay, write an essay on whether social media is beneficial or harmful to teenagers. So here are some differences between the 4 formats. Now let's look at the structure. For paragraph 1, you would introduce the topic for all of them. So in a report, you would provide a summary of the event and also the purpose of the report. In a review, you would summarize the thing being reviewed. In an article and essay, you would introduce the topic, which will be given in the prompt. Now you will see that in paragraph 2, they are all the same. You will present the positive points or the points in favor of the topic. Paragraph 3 is also similar. negative points, or points against the topic. In paragraph 4, they are slightly different. In a report, you would give suggestions. In a review, you would give recommendations. In articles and essays, you would pick one side of the argument and persuade the reader to agree with you. Now, I have to mention that a report can be written differently, and so can an essay. However, the reason I've done it this way is so that it's easy for you to remember. So for example, paragraph 2 is always about the positive points and paragraph 3 is always about the negative points. So the similarities, as I've said before, paragraphs 2 and 3 are the same for all the 4 formats if you follow my templates. The main difference is a report has subheadings and suggestions at the end. A review has recommendations at the end. If you use my templates, you will see that my template for article is different from the others because there is a rhetorical question and counter arguments. And for an essay, there is no heading. You will need a heading for all 3 of these formats: report, review, and article, but not for an essay. And here's a bird's eye view of the 4 formats. Again, if you haven't watched that video on how to use these templates, you can click on the link or in the description box below. So for a report, you can see that there's heading and subheadings. For a review, you can see that there is a recommendation. For an article, you can see that I've included rhetorical question and counter arguments. And for an essay, you can see that there's no heading. I hope that you found this short video useful. If you have, please share with your friends, like and subscribe. And we will talk about this soon. The tone or register should be neutral or formal. So your essay should clearly present opinions related to the topic, include a range of grammatical structures and related vocabulary, less the organization, you can see that there are 4 paragraphs here. In the introduction, to idiomatic and colloquial. Try to avoid contractions as well. So here is an example candidate response. I will read it to you and then we'll look at examiner comments along the way. Teenagers love fast food, but is it good for them or should they in favor? This is against. And both opinions are well supported with reasons. So that that was it. No development. The vocabulary tends to be common, so you need some that are more advanced. So the candidate could have included some more complex structures. There are also some spelling mistakes and grammatical mistakes, such as missing articles and problem with verb forms. Now we are going to attempt this question. You recently had a class discussion about the effects of playing computer games on young people. Your teacher has asked everyone in the class to write an essay on the subject. In your essay, write about the effects of playing computer games on young people. Here are some comments from your classmates. Computer games are bad for your health, so that's negative. I spend too much time playing computer games, another negative point. Computer games teach useful skills, positive. Some computer games are very entertaining, that's positive. Now write an essay for your class teacher giving your opinions. So your audience is your class teacher. Authors of the topic argue that it is beneficial. So we have firstly, secondly, point and development. In contrast, opponents claim that the topic can be harmful. They suggest that point and development, moreover, point and development. So these are formal linking words. To sum up, although there are good reasons on both sides, I personally believe that. So pick one side and give your reason. So this is the last intermediate template, and then later we will do the advanced ones. These days, the topic has become a controversial topic. Many people are discussing whether it's a good or bad idea. Those in favor of the topic believe it offers several benefits. One main point is that point and development. Another advantage is point and development. So this is on the negative side. On the other hand, critics argue that the topic also brings challenges. For example, point and development, additionally point and development. In my view, the topic has more advantages than disadvantages. As long as it's done responsibly, it can be a positive development. Now we will look at a sample response using the first template, and it is based on the question on computer games that we saw earlier.
In recent years, computer games have become increasingly popular among young people. There are both benefits and drawbacks to spending time on these games. On the positive side, gaming has many advantages. To start with, some games help young people develop useful skills such as problem-solving, hand-eye coordination, and strategic thinking. These skills can be valuable in both school and daily life. In addition, multiplayer games can encourage teamwork and communication when players work together to reach a common goal. However, there are also some disadvantages to consider. One issue is that many young people spend too much time playing games, which can affect their academic performance and lead to poor time management. Another concern is the lack of physical activity, as sitting for long hours in front of a screen can be harmful to one's health. All things considered, I think that computer games can be beneficial if used wisely. If handled carefully, the disadvantages can be reduced while enjoying the benefits.
Now we will move on to the more advanced templates. So if you're aiming for an A star, for example, it might be a good idea to use one of the more advanced templates. So this is template 4. In contemporary society, the issue of insert the topic here has sparked considerable debate. While some individuals highlight its merits, others remain concerned about its potential repercussions. So you can see that there are some advanced vocabulary. So if you memorize this template, for example, in the exam, you don't have to think of advanced vocabulary to use because they are already in your template. On the one hand, it could be argued that presents numerous advantages to illustrate point and development. Moreover, advocates contend that can foster point and development. Conversely, critics caution that the drawbacks cannot be overlooked. For instance, point and development. In addition, some claim that has inadvertently contributed to point and development. In conclusion, despite the potential pitfalls, I am inclined to support due to its transformative potential. Provided that appropriate measures are implemented, the associated risks can be significantly mitigated. So lots of advanced vocabulary thrown in. The next template. The rise of the topic here has provoked a wide range of opinions, particularly regarding its long-term impact on society. Although its supporters emphasize its innovative qualities, opponents remain skeptical of its sustainability. So this might not be suitable for all topics. You have to pick the right template. So try them all out and then eventually come up with your own. You can also mix and match. Proponents assert that it's a worthwhile pursuit. For example, it facilitates point and development. Additionally, it can be seen as a catalyst for point and development. Nevertheless, detractors argue that may not be as beneficial as it initially seems. Chief among their concerns is the possibility that point and development. Furthermore, they suggest that over-reliance on might undermine in the long term point and development. So there are also some advanced sentence structures here. Ultimately, while both perspectives are valid, I contend that should be encouraged with careful regulation. Balancing innovation with responsibility is crucial if we are to maximize its benefits while minimizing harm. So like I said, this template might not be appropriate for all topics. Choose carefully. So this is the last advanced template. Just a word of caution, if you're not ready for advanced writing, just start with the first 3. Don't bite off more than you can chew. In recent times, the concept of has gained prominence, prompting widespread discourse on its advantages and inherent challenges. A nuanced evaluation is essential in order to determine whether its adoption is truly worthwhile. From a positive standpoint, may offer significant benefits, chiefly point and development. Furthermore, it arguably contributes to point and development. However, one must not ignore the limitations of which, if left unaddressed, could outweigh the advantages. To begin with, point and development. Additionally, the implications for should not be underestimated, point and development. In final analysis, although it's not without flaws, I believe it has the potential to be a force for good. A cautious, well-informed approach is necessary to ensure that its implementation does more good than harm. So you can see that there are lots of difficult words here. If you are not comfortable with this, it's better not to use it because you will not be able to memorize all the difficult words anyway. Here is a sample response using template 4 and based on the same question.
In contemporary society, the issue of computer games and their impact on young people has sparked considerable debate. While some individuals highlight its merits, others remain concerned about its potential repercussions. On the one hand, it could be argued that gaming presents numerous advantages. To illustrate, many games require quick thinking and problem solving, which can help players develop cognitive skills. Moreover, advocates contend that computer games can foster collaboration and communication, especially in multiplayer environments where players must work together to succeed. Conversely, critics caution that the drawbacks cannot be overlooked. For instance, excessive gaming may lead to addiction and reduce the time spent on academic studies or physical activities. In addition, some claim that gaming has inadvertently contributed to social isolation, as players may choose to interact with virtual characters instead of real people. In conclusion, despite the potential pitfalls, I am inclined to support the use of computer games due to their transformative potential. Provided that appropriate measures are implemented, the associated risks can be significantly mitigated.
Lastly, let's talk about the differences between an article and an essay. So you might think that they are about the same, but there are slight differences. So the register for an article is semi-formal, but for an essay it is formal. When you're writing an article, your audience is usually your schoolmates because you're writing an article for a school magazine. For an essay, it's usually your teacher. So an article has a heading that's very important, and for an essay, there is no heading. If you found this helpful, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. This is an extension of the last video on tenses to use for emails, but this will be for the report, review, article, and essay. Welcome back to English Step by Step. I am Miss Wee, and let's start with the report. I have already done a video on this question. Do go and look for it. But in this video, I will not go into the details. I only want to show you how to decide on what tense to use. If you look at this particular question, it says, in your report, say what was enjoyable about the sports festival. So a report is usually on something that has already happened, and then suggest how it could be improved. So this would be in the future. Could is a modal verb, and we should also use modal verbs in this paragraph when we are suggesting improvements. So here is an example that I already showed you in my video on report writing. So you can see that I've used past tense. This paragraph would be in past tense because this event is already finished. And the same for negative points. Again, you can see that I have used past tense. However, for the suggestions, I would be using modal verbs. Rock climbing, archery, and fencing should be offered. An extended duration would also greatly enhance the overall experience. So for suggestions, you can use modal verbs such as should, would, sorry, there should be a comma here, can, could, etc. So that's for the report. Usually we would use past tense for the positive and negative points and modal verbs for the suggestions. And next we have review. And here we have a question. You recently visited a new shopping center in your town. You have decided to write a review of the center for your school magazine. Although your visit was in the past, the shopping center is still there, and therefore your review would be in present tense. As you can see, the comments are mainly in present tense. This one is in past tense. You can also use past tense if you had a particular experience on that day itself. So here is an example of a review. If you want to watch the video on review writing, please click on the link up here. So here you can see that I've used present tense. And the next paragraph is also present tense. And in the next one, the negative points, they're also present tense. And in the conclusion, is also present tense. So reviews are usually all in present tense. Moving on to the article. So if you're interested in article writing, please click on the link above. This is the question that I did in that particular video. In class, you recently had a discussion about whether towns and cities should have more parks and green spaces. So that's a modal verb. You have decided to write an article for your school magazine. Here are some comments from students in your class. So you can see that comments are mainly in present tense because we are discussing an issue that exists now. So articles are usually in present tense. And here is an example of the article. So you can see that I've used present tense again, and also present tense in the concluding paragraph. Finally, we have the essay. This is a new format in the new syllabus. So I've made this question up. In class, you have discussed whether students should be allowed to bring mobile phones to school. So we have a modal verb. And if you look at the comments, you can see that they are in present tense. It's because we are discussing an issue that exists now. So here's the essay. If you're interested in the video, do click on the link above. So you can see that I've used present tense in the introduction, present tense when presenting the advantages, and present tense when discussing disadvantages, and present tense in the concluding paragraph as well. So the same thing as in review in the essay, I would also use present tense throughout. So here is a summary of what I've said so far. In the report, we would use past tense for the first part when we're discussing the good and bad points. But when we're making suggestions in the second part, I would use modal verbs. In the review, article, and essay, you would use present tense unless you are talking specifically about something that happened in the past. I hope you have found this useful. If so, please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Whether you're writing an essay, a report, or just want to improve your writing style, mastering sentence structures is a must. Let's get started. First up, we've got the simple sentence. As the name suggests, it's the most basic type of sentence. A simple sentence consists of a subject and a verb, and it expresses a complete thought. It's a sentence that stands on its own. Example, the dog barked. This sentence has a subject, the dog, and a verb, barked. Simple, right? It might not be the most exciting, but it's clear and to the point. Next, let's talk about compound sentences. These are great when you want to link two ideas that are related. A compound sentence contains two independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. The most common conjunctions are and so, but because. Example, the dog barked and the cat ran away. Here, we have two simple sentences joined by and. Both parts could stand alone as separate sentences, but by joining them with a conjunction, we create a more dynamic sentence. Now let's level up with complex sentences. These sentences have an independent clause and at least one dependent clause. The dependent clause cannot stand alone, but it adds important information to the sentence. Example, the dog barked because it saw a stranger. In this sentence, the dog barked is independent. It makes sense on its own, but because it saw a stranger depends on the first part to make sense. The dependent clause gives us more details about why the dog barked. Ready for the ultimate sentence type? Compound complex sentences combine both compound and complex structures. These sentences have at least two independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. Example, the dog barked because it saw a stranger, and the cat hid under the couch. Here, we've got two independent clauses, the dog barked and the cat hid under the couch, plus a dependent clause because it saw a stranger. You can see how this structure lets us express more complex ideas. Now, why does any of this matter? Well, using a variety of sentence structures keeps your writing interesting and helps you express more complicated ideas clearly. That's it for today's lesson. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more writing tips. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future videos, drop a comment below. See you in the next one. Happy writing!
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to explore advanced punctuation techniques that will elevate your writing to a whole new level. Whether you're writing essays, narratives, or articles, mastering these punctuation marks will help you communicate more effectively and stylishly. Let's get into it. Let's start with the colon. While many of you know colons are used to introduce lists, they can also be used to introduce explanations or clarify statements. Think of the colon as a way to direct attention to what comes next. For example, there's only one thing left to do: celebrate. The part after the colon explains or emphasizes the idea introduced in the first part of the sentence. You can also use a colon before quotations, especially when the quotation explains or expands on a point you're making. Now, the semicolon. The semicolon is a powerful tool that links two closely related ideas without the need for a conjunction like and or but. This gives your writing a more sophisticated flow. For example, I wanted to go to the party. However, I had too much work to finish. Here, the semicolon connects two independent clauses that could stand alone as sentences, but they work better when linked. Semicolons are also used to separate items in a complex list where some items already contain commas. For example, we visited Paris, France, Berlin, Germany, and Rome, Italy. The dash, also known as an em dash, is used to add emphasis or additional information to a sentence. It's more dynamic than a comma, making it perfect for interrupting your own thought or adding a dramatic pause. For example, the concert was amazing, better than I ever expected. Here, the dash gives extra weight to the second part of the sentence. Use dashes when you want to emphasize a point, or when you need a break in the sentence that's stronger than a comma but not quite as final as a period. Next, let's talk about parentheses. Parentheses are used to add extra information or an aside to a sentence, something that's not essential to the main idea but still worth mentioning. For example, she finally found her keys after searching for an hour. Under the couch. The part in parentheses adds extra detail but isn't critical to the meaning of the sentence. Just be careful not to overuse parentheses. Too many side notes can make your writing feel cluttered. The ellipsis, those three little dots, can be a great tool for creating suspense, showing hesitation, or indicating that something is left unsaid. For example, I thought about it for a moment, and then I agreed. Here, the ellipsis creates a pause, adding suspense to what comes next. Ellipses can also show that part of a quotation is missing. For instance, he said, "It's a beautiful day. Let's make the most of it." Use ellipses to leave out unnecessary parts of a quote without changing the meaning. Now let's look at the hyphen, which is often confused with the dash. Hyphens are used to join words together, particularly in compound adjectives or compound nouns. For example, a well-known author, or 24 students. The hyphen helps clarify meaning, especially when two words together modify a noun. We often use double quotation marks for quoting speech, but single quotation marks have a special role. They're used inside a quote to show a quote within a quote. For example, she said, "I heard him shout 'stop' as the car sped away." The single quotes show the exact words spoken within the larger quote. And there you have it. Advanced punctuation to bring sophistication and clarity to your writing. Remember, punctuation isn't just about following rules. It's about making your writing more effective and engaging. Practice these techniques, and you'll see how much they can improve your writing style. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. See you in the next video.
Hi everyone, welcome back to English Step by Step. Today, we're tackling a common writing issue called the comma splice. This mistake is easy to make, but just as easy to fix once you know how. Let's dive restructure the sentence. Finally, sometimes it's best to restructure the sentence entirely. For example, we could write, "Reading helps me relax because I love it." This not only fixes the comma splice, but also gives us a new way to express